Good evening and welcome to a special Halloween newscast of the Bison Information Network. I'm Beach Dude Logan Ganderberg.
And I'm Ron Lydia Lafine. We have plenty of spooky news, so don't go anywhere.
Yesterday, there was an event hosted in the Memorial Union about politics and how students could get involved.
The event included clubs, organizations, and community leaders. Reporter Malik Mitchell was able to take an inside look at the event.
Delta Tau Delta and Kappa Delta have partnered together to put on the Get Out the Vote event at the Memorial Union. I took a look at the event and got some perspectives. On Wednesday, October 26th, fraternity Delta Tau Delta and sorority Kappa Delta co-hosted their first ever voting event called Get Out the Vote. This event was for NDSU students located at the Ochinti Shikowi Ballroom in the Memorial Union. During this event, students were encouraged to vote for this year's upcoming election on November 8th. North Dakota community leaders like congressional candidate and former Miss America Cara Mund and Fargo City Commissioner Denise Kolpak were able to attend the event and talk to students about how they can get involved in the community.
I hope that you go to the polls. I hope you really research these candidates, figure out who aligns with you, who is it that gives you a voice, whether it be in Washington, at the state government, at the local government. Who is it that you really align with?
With the election coming up in less than 2 weeks, I talked to a couple of students and got their perspectives on why voting matters.
I think that voting is super important for everyone who's in America, but especially like young people. And it's also really important to go and hear candidates speaking so you know who you're voting for and why.
It's super important. If we don't want to get to the point where we're in our 40s, 50s and realize like, oh crap, like the world is not what I'd like it to be, we need to vote now. That's how change happens. It happens on small levels, it happens in local elections, it happens in state elections. So it's really vital for college students to vote for people and policies that represent their beliefs so that we can, keep making progress.
I was also able to speak to Cara Mund and ask her what are some ways students can start getting involved in politics now.
Something as simple as like a social media share of a candidate. Potentially walking with a candidate. I was in the NDSU homecoming parade and I had some NDSU students walking with me, inviting candidates on campus. So I was able to go and see the sororities and fraternities before this last week, and now being able to be back and do this speech as well. So there's a lot of different ways. Even just volunteering, phone banking, talking to your friends about a candidate. That's an easy one. So just a way to get involved and to help make a difference.
This event was also a great opportunity to meet other civic-minded people in the community and find ways to get more involved and make a difference. If you plan to vote, make sure you send in your ballots or vote in person on November 8th. For the Bison Information Network, I'm Malik Mitchell.
If you missed the event, do not worry, as the state of North Dakota has plenty of resources and help on how to make your vote count. The New York Times recently wrote a story article on how Fargo has gone upscale.
Reporter Nick Whistler went downtown to see what locals think of the claim.
The New York Times recently did a story article on Fargo and how it's surprisingly an upscale city. I took a stroll downtown to see what locals thought about this claim.
I think people think of it as just a small North Dakota town with all the North Dakota stereotypes, but that is definitely not the case, as I've discovered being here for the last 2 years.
Though outsiders may tend to think of the classic 1996 movie, there is much more the town actually can offer.
There are a surprising amount of really good restaurants, and it's much bigger than you'd expect, and everything is much newer than you'd think too. Like the entire area south of 32nd is like within 10 years old.
Locals appreciate the diversity in architectural designs and efforts to salvage the traditions of Fargo in the midst of city development.
So I think it's kind of a good mix of, you kind of have the old buildings up around NDSU or up around campus that were built in the 1800s. And then, if you go downtown, you'll have buildings that were built in that time period, but, have been refurbished. And then as you go further down south, you have buildings that have been built, just a couple of years ago. So I think it's kind of a good mix. I would say it's definitely upscale.
All in all, Fargo locals agree their city may be an afterthought to outsiders, but is actually a hidden gem in the upper Midwest. Reporting for the Bison Information Network, I'm Nick Whistler.
The article is still up on the New York Times if you are interested in reading more about an outsider's perspective on Fargo. Are you a big fan of The Walking Dead, or just need an excuse to eat all that Halloween candy this weekend? The Bison Ranger Challenge Club has you covered with their annual 5K zombie run being held this Friday at 5 p.m. The run will compose of several obstacles, zombies chasing you, and plenty of other fun challenges. Tickets for the event are $20 per person or $18 for those under 18.
As it begins to become colder outside, stop by the Union Dining Center on November 2nd to warm up with authentic Puerto Rican cuisine. Union Dining Center employee William DeVale reached out to NDSU Dining to present a taste of Puerto Rico, featuring some favorite recipes in William's family. You can find cornmeal breaded fried chicken, plantain mofongo, coconut pudding, and more. Students, faculty, and visitors are welcome from 10:30 a.m. to 7:30 p.m. All meal plans are accepted.
The NDSU Chaley Institute is hosting Mark Mills for his Distinguished Speaker Series. Mills has co-founded several energy and tech businesses while writing 3 books about the digital age we live in. He also served in the White House Science Office during the Reagan administration. The event is open to both students and the public, which will be put on at the Louise S. Berry Auditorium at 4 p.m. this upcoming Wednesday.
Today, NDSU Professor of Chemistry Seth Rasmussen was named a Fellow of the Royal Society of Chemistry. In addition, he is a member of multiple scientific and historical societies and chairs the History of Chemistry division of the latter. In addition, he twice served as the chair of the American Chemical Society Red River Valley local section. To be a fellow, one must have served more than 5 years in a senior position and have made an impact in the field of the chemical sciences. Congratulations, Professor Rasmussen.
The leaves may be falling outside, but for someone in Fergus Falls, it was a season of luck. The Minnesota State Lottery reported that a winning North 5 ticket was sold at the Lakeway Express in Fergus Falls. With a jackpot at a cool $84,685, someone will have plenty to celebrate with the holiday season right around the corner. Sadly, we do not know the name at this time, as state law requires that winners of prizes above $10,000 remain private unless they opt otherwise.
This Saturday, be sure to swing by Broadway Square for the final gathering this season of the Red River Market. The market has met for the past 5 years, quickly becoming one of North Dakota's largest farmers market. Now, the market is a seasonal tradition in the Fargo-Moorhead community, featuring over 90 local farmers and artisans. You can also find community outreach ranging from live cooking demonstrations to children's games. The market is open from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m.
Tough times may be ahead for NDSU, as President David Cook sent an email Tuesday afternoon warning of incredibly difficult budget cuts. Decreased enrollment was cited as one of the main causes. Several strategies to improve retention and address the challenges have been proposed, with some being improved advising, re-enrollment campaigns, curriculum review, and launching new academic programs aligned with workforce demands. A long-term plan will be announced to the campus by January, but until then, it will be a tense few months for students and faculty alike.
This past Saturday, 5 concrete vaults were vandalized nearby the Islamic Society of Fargo-Moorhead Cemetery. These vaults were stored in a vacant building next to the cemetery, which Islamic Society of Fargo-Moorhead spokeswoman Heidi Solomon says they have had past incidences with people squatting in. This is one of 3 incidences targeting the Muslim community within the past 19 months, raising suspicions that this was a hate crime. Despite this, mosque president Odor Harun issued a statement to the vandals saying, quote, "We have forgiven you and hope it is a turning point in your life," end quote. As of now, the Islamic Society plans to tear down the house in place of a permanent storage with additional security measures. If you'd like to donate, you can find a GoFundMe on the Islamic Society of Fargo-Moorhead website. When we come back, Jacob has your weekly Bison Sports Report. Stay tuned.
There are so many great things to experience at NDSU. It's hard to pick one, but my favorite is
the people. They make it such a warm place. The Bison aren't just across the country, they're across the globe.
It's the perfect distance from home. The faculty are our biggest cheerleaders. Hands-on research experience. The affordable tuition.
All the opportunities to stay active on campus.
Real-world learning experiences.
Once I got on campus, it felt like home.
My name is Addie Stewart, and I graduated from NDSU in the Department of Communication in 2018. My degree was in strategic communication, and I'm the communications specialist for the city of West Fargo. That includes social media, press releases, breaking news, interviews, media relations, and more. I went into communication because I wanted to do something I was passionate about. There were so many opportunities. I knew I could work for nonprofits, government, small business, agency work. Professors in the department definitely impacted me a lot in my life, making sure that once I graduated college, I knew I could get a job here just because of the connections in the department and the great morale that was in Fargo. Future students should definitely come to NDSU because it's a degree like no other here.
The NDSU bookstore has everything you need to show off your Bison pride. The bookstore can have you sporting green and gold wherever you go. It offers many different brands, sizes, styles, and selection so that you find exactly what you're looking for. Shop the NDSU bookstore and show your spirit today.
After a bye week last weekend, the Bison football team will be looking to get back on track at the Fargo Dome this weekend. The 5-2 Bison will face off against Illinois State this Saturday at 1 p.m. Catch the game on ABCND or ESPN+. You can also listen to the game on Bison Radio Network. The NDSU women's soccer team was back in action this past weekend. Friday night, they took on Summit League rival South Dakota. With a conference tournament spot on the line, the Bison came out strong. The Bison would strike first as senior Lavin Douglas scored in the 27th minute of the first half, thanks to the pass from Olivia Watson. That was Lavin's third goal of the season. However, the Coyotes responded early in the second half. Sophomore Ashby Johnston sneaks one past Wilkinson after a dish from forward Joanna Zanin, her fourth goal of the season. After the equalizer, Lavin Douglas and Olivia Watson would switch places for the second goal from the Bison. Watson nets her fifth goal of the season after a beautiful feed from Douglas. This wasn't the end of the scoring for NDSU. Less than a minute later, the Bison would find the nylon once again. This time it was junior Olivia Lovick. Olivia put the Coyote defender on skates after a pass from Jess Hanley, Lovick's fourth goal this season. The Bison would put the nail in the coffin with less than 2 minutes to go. Olivia Watson would score her second of the night after a great touch pass from Kelsey Callio. Watson leads the Bison with 6 goals this season. NDSU would go on to beat USD in a 4-1 blowout. The soccer team is back in action this Friday as they travel to Colorado for the first round of the Summit League tournament. They will face Oral Roberts at 5 p.m. The NDSU volleyball team continued their impressive season this past weekend. Last Thursday, the Bison hosted Western Illinois. NDSU would make it a long trip home for the Leathernecks after sweeping them in a quick 3 sets. Every set, the Bison won every set by double digits. Allie Hinsey would lead the way for the Bison with 18 kills, 5 digs, and a season-high 6 blocks. Alexis Bowling would finish the game with 11 kills and a block. Syra Tanchin with 9 kills and a team-high 12 digs. The Herd would keep rolling as they took their momentum into Saturday afternoon against St. Thomas. Bison have been rocking at home and continue to do so against the Tommies. NDSU would go on to sweep St. Thomas for their second straight 3-0 victory. Kelsey Johnson posted a double-double on Saturday with 40 assists and 11 digs. Allie Hinsey picked up where she left off. She finished with 16 kills and 11 digs. With her 2 stellar performances, Hinsey was named the Tickets Master Offensive Player of the Week. The volleyball team will be back in action in Kansas City as they take on the Roos tonight at 7 p.m. The NDSU women's golf team wrapped up their fall season this past weekend at the Rainbow Wahine Invitational in Hawaii. They would finish 9th out of 13 teams at the tournament. Leah Scar led the way for the Bison, shooting 6 over, tying for 23rd place. Cora Larson tied for 26th place, shooting 7 over. Catherine Monty would round out the top 3 for the Bison, tying for 35th while shooting a 9 over par. The women's golf team won't compete again until early February. The Bison's men's team also finished up their fall season last weekend at the ODU/OBX Intercollegiate Tournament. The tournament was held in Powell's Point, North Carolina. The Bison got out to a hot start on day 1 of the tournament and didn't look back. The Bison completed the 3-day sweep and finished first out of 16 teams. Nate Adams finished first overall for the first time in his college career, shooting 10 under par. Gavin Kroenke came in at 7th place, shooting 1 under par, and Brock Winter would complete the Bison's top 3 by shooting a stroke over and tying for 14th overall. The Bison close out the season with the first place team finish, their 3rd time this season. They will return to play next February. That wraps up sports from the past week, but don't go anywhere as Coy Hartle has the rundown on the weather for the upcoming week.
I'm your friend.
I'm your coworker.
I'm your neighbor.
There's no set person that defines who needs help in North Dakota.
I play cards with your grandmother every week.
Hunger is becoming more and more widespread and more known because there are people standing up and saying, hey, this can't happen. We can't be having this in our state, in our community.
I sit next to you in math class.
It's proving that they're learning better and they're not coming to school so hungry on Monday morning. We're engaging them and we're helping them learn. I mean, people want to help their fellow citizens, and in this food bank, in this agency, that is exactly what's happening, is people really, truly care.
I'm here.
I'm here to change the faces.
I'm here to change the faces of hunger.
One kid, one mentor, plus one moment can unlock limitless potential. One heart-to-heart, one inside joke. 30,000 youth are waiting. Be there for one of them. It's time. Become a big today.
Hello everyone and welcome back to Bison Information Network. I'm Napoleon Dynamite and I have a look ahead of what we can expect from the weather for this week, as well as a peek about what's going on across the country as well. Also, if you've been watching BIN News for a while, then you may notice that our weather segment tonight does look a little bit different than what you might be used to. We have been trying out quite a few new things behind the scenes, and we're excited to show you guys what we've been working on. Taking a look at the current conditions coming to us from the Fargo Airport, courtesy of the National Weather Service. As you can see right now, as the sun's going down, we do have some cloudy skies. Also have a temperature right at 52 degrees with a wind chill of 48 degrees, just a few degrees lower. And then we do have some winds out of the south at 18 miles per hour with some gusts up to 29 miles per hour. Taking a look at the hour by hour for the rest of the night, as I mentioned, we do have some overcast skies right now. However, as the night goes on, those will start to clear up. But as we get into early tomorrow morning and past midnight, that will start to clear up, and that will be clear throughout the day tomorrow. Now if we take a look at what's going on in the Skycast, it's always interesting to see this. In the Fargo area, the sun rose this morning at 8:02 a.m. Sun set at 6:18 p.m. Gives about 10 hours, 16 minutes of daylight. And of course, as the year goes on, that number will keep shrinking down. So be sure to enjoy the semi-long daylight hours while we still have the chance. And taking a look at the moon phase tonight, we are in the waxing crescent phase. We're just coming off the new moon that happened just a couple nights ago on Tuesday night. That's when the moon is invisible in the sky. And since we don't have a whole lot of moonlight, this is good stargazing conditions if that's something you're interested in, because we don't have the moon that blocks out the starlight. Now if we take a look at what's going on across the country, just some temps going on across the nation. The big story here is kind of across the Rocky Mountain area into Nevada and Colorado, the Utah area there. We are seeing temperatures in the 30s and 40s there. That's kind of the coldest we're getting, at least going on right now across there. In the North Dakota, Minnesota area, we are seeing temperatures in the 50s and 60s, so not too bad there. And then once you get down south in the Texas area, Alabama, Florida, we are seeing temperatures in the 70s and even some 80s down in the panhandle of Florida. Taking a look at the next 48 hours, as for the rainfall and snowfall, there isn't a whole lot of snow in the forecast, just a little bit in the Colorado area, but not a whole lot to worry about there. We do have some rainfall, however, up in the Washington and Oregon area. We do have a little bit of a system there, and then we do have a larger system down the Texas, Louisiana, Oklahoma area down there. And then we do have a little bit in Minnesota, but that's not something we have to worry about in Fargo. Now, if we take a look at the 7-day forecast, we'll start off with just the next 72 hours for the weekend. Starting off with tomorrow, as I mentioned earlier, we will have clear skies with a high of 63 degrees. And then going into the rest of the weekend, we do have temperatures right around that 60-degree mark. However, we will get a little more cloud cover. As we go into Halloween Monday, we are seeing temperatures sitting pretty good, with a high of 65 degrees there. So if you have kids trick-or-treating, they shouldn't need to bundle up too much, so that's always good. Once we get into Tuesday and Wednesday, temperatures will drop just a bit to the mid-50s, as both days have a high of 57 degrees, and we do get some of those clouds back on Wednesday. And finally, into Thursday, we do have about a 51% chance of some precipitation, so we'll see what happens with that. We also got a few photos sent in to us this week. This first photo comes to us from Justin in Watford City, North Dakota. He sent this in on Monday. They got the first snowfall of the season, so it was interesting to see while Fargo doesn't have snow yet, there are parts of the states that have gotten some snowfall already this winter season. We also got this photo sent to us from Russell in Fort Collins, Colorado. He captured this photo from his backyard. It's just a really beautiful picture there. You can see the sun bouncing off the clouds there, and it's just a really neat picture there. Thank you both so much for sending in your photos. We always enjoy seeing them here at the studio. If any of you watching at home see any interesting weather in your area, then be sure to grab a photo or video and send them our way. You can submit them online at www.ndsubin.com/news. In addition, be sure to follow Bison Information Network on social media to stay up to date on the local and campus news throughout the week. Well, that's all for our show today. Thank you all for watching. Have a great night. Yes!